Picture this. It is 2 in the morning. You are fast asleep, dreaming peacefully, when suddenly you hear it. The dreaded scratching at the front door, followed by a meow that sounds like a tiny furry demon demanding entrance. Your cat, who somehow slipped out yesterday while you were bringing in the groceries, has returned. You spent hours crying, shaking treat bags, and wandering the neighborhood looking like a crazy person. And here they are, acting like absolutely nothing happened, just annoyed that their food bowl is empty. Does your cat do this just to spite you? Do they enjoy watching you suffer? Or is there some secret magic at play? Think they just got lucky finding the front porch? Think again. Today, we are uncovering the shocking, almost sci-fi ways cats actually find their way home. I promise, by the end of this video, you will look at your purring little weirdo in a completely different light. Before we dive into the matrix of the feline mind, hit the comments right now and tell me, what is the name of your furry hooligan? And have they ever pulled a disappearing act on you? To truly understand how our cats navigate, we have to travel back in time and look at what they actually are. Beneath that adorable, soft exterior, beneath the ridiculous love for empty Amazon cardboard boxes, and beneath the habit of sleeping 16 hours a day in the most awkward positions imaginable, your cat is a highly evolved apex predator. Mother Nature designed them as solitary hunters. Unlike dogs, who rely on the pack to survive and find their way around, cats had to do it all by themselves. They are territorial control freaks. For a wild cat, knowing exactly where they are, where the danger is, and where the safe sleeping spots are located, is the difference between life and death. Even though your modern house cat's biggest daily challenge is deciding whether to nap on your clean laundry or your computer keyboard, those ancient, wild survival instincts are still hardwired into their brains. They are tiny, judgmental terminators, equipped with sensory technology that puts our human capabilities to absolute shame. So let's break down exactly how this furry machinery operates. Let's kick things off with a superpower that sounds like it was ripped straight out of a comic book. Did you know that your adorable, fluffy little potato might actually be a walking, meowing compass? Scientists have discovered that cats likely possess something called magnetoreception. This means they are incredibly sensitive to the Earth's magnetic fields. Think of it as a highly advanced biological GPS system built right into their tiny skulls. It is believed that cats have trace amounts of iron in their inner ears, and perhaps their skin, which act like a directional compass needle. So, when your cat is zooming around the living room at 3 in the morning doing the dreaded zoomies for absolutely no logical reason, they might just be recalibrating their internal navigation system. It is absolutely wild to think that the same animal that gets terrified by a harmless cucumber and prefers a dirty paper bag over a $200 velvet cat bed is secretly a master of planetary navigation. They can literally feel the magnetic pull of the Earth. So if they ever wander off to chase a shiny bug or a squirrel, this internal compass is the very first tool they boot up to figure out which direction leads back to their favorite human slave, owner. Now, let's talk about that super cute thing your cat does when they passionately rub their little cheeks against your shins, the corners of the walls, and pretty much every piece of furniture you own. You probably think, Fluffy loves me. Well, yes, but also, Fluffy is claiming you as property. Cats have scent glands located on their cheeks, lips, forehead, and even their chin. When they rub against things, they are depositing pheromones. These are invisible chemical markers that basically say, I own this is my house, and this tall, hairless creature is my personal chef. But these pheromones serve a massive purpose in navigation. As your cat explores outside, they are constantly rubbing against bushes, fences, and mailboxes. They are literally leaving a trail of invisible breadcrumbs. If they get lost or disoriented, They can use their incredibly powerful nose to sniff out their own personalized scent trail. It's like Hansel and Gretel, but instead of breadcrumbs that get eaten by birds, it's a sophisticated chemical signature that leads them right back to their favorite napping spot. So the next time your cat aggressively headbutts your coffee table, respect the process. They are updating their map. Speaking of leaving trails, let's look down at one of the most adorable parts of a cat, the toe beans. Yes, those squishy, perfectly shaped little pads on their paws are not just there for looking cute on Instagram. They are highly functional sensory and marking tools. Believe it or not, cats sweat through their paw pads. But it is not just regular sweat. These pads also contain specialized scent glands. Every single time your cat takes a step, they are pressing a unique scent signature into the ground. When an outdoor cat is patrolling their territory, they are stamping the earth with their personal barcode. If a cat gets chased out of their usual zone by a scary dog or a loud car, they will try to circle back and pick up the scent of their own sweaty footprints. It's a genius evolutionary backup plan. So, when your cat casually walks all over your laptop keyboard while you are trying to work, don't be mad. They aren't just trying to ruin your incredibly important email to your boss. They are just stamping your computer with their toe bean pheromones so they can find their way back to it later. It is all about strategic territorial mapping, obviously. Let's move on to their ears, which are basically furry satellite dishes. We humans think we have pretty good hearing, but compared to a cat, we are practically deaf. A human can hear frequencies up to about 20,000 hertz. A dog can hear up to 40,000. But a cat can hear a staggering 64,000 hertz. Their hearing is so precise that they can hear the high-pitched squeak of a mouse hiding under a floorboard from several rooms away. But how does this help them find their way home? Cats memorize the unique sonic landscape of their territory. They know exactly what your specific car engine sounds like when you pull into the driveway. They know the sound of the neighborhood dogs, the squeak of your front gate, and yes, they can probably hear you opening a can of wet food from 3 blocks away. If they get turned around, they will find a high, safe vantage point, pivot those 32 muscles in each ear, and just listen. They are filtering through the background noise of the world, waiting to hear the familiar acoustic signature of their home territory. It is like echolocation, but instead of bouncing sound waves, they are just waiting to hear the familiar crinkle of their favorite treat bag. You cannot talk about a cat's navigation without discussing their majestic whiskers. Those long, beautiful hairs on their face aren't just for decoration to make them look sophisticated. They are called vibrissae, and they are basically highly sensitive radar antennas. Whiskers are deeply embedded in the cat's body and are packed with nerve endings that send messages directly to the brain. They are so sensitive that they can detect minute changes in air currents. When a cat is walking through an alley or your backyard, the air bounces off objects like walls, trees, and fences, and then bounces back to the cat's whiskers. This allows them to literally feel their surroundings in complete darkness without ever touching anything. When navigating back home, especially at night, this sensory system prevents them from crashing into obstacles and helps them recognize the familiar structural layout of their territory. Of course, this makes it incredibly funny when they misjudge a jump and gracefully faceplant into the couch. But for the most part, their whiskers provide a 3D mental map of their environment. Never, ever trim a cat's whiskers. You are basically blindfolding their radar system. We've mentioned their own scent trails, but what about the smell of the world around them? A cat's sense of smell is roughly 14 times stronger than a human's. When we walk outside, we might smell freshly cut grass or a neighbor grilling burgers. When a cat walks outside, they are reading a highly detailed chemical newspaper of everything that has happened in the last 48 hours. They use this incredible olfactory power to build a scent map of their home turf. They memorize the smell of the pine tree in your yard, the distinct odor of the grumpy bulldog next door, and a specific scent of the neighborhood stray cat who always hangs out by the dumpster. If your cat gets lost, the wind becomes their best friend. They will stand still, lift their little noses into the air, and analyze the breeze. They are literally sniffing their way home, waiting to catch a whiff of a familiar landmark. And yes, they also memorize your specific scent. To them, you probably smell like a comforting mix of laundry detergent, coffee, and servitude. If the wind carries the scent of their beloved human, they know exactly which direction to start walking. Let's bust a popular myth right now. Many people think cats can see perfectly in pitch-black darkness. That is not entirely true. They cannot see in total, absolute darkness, but they need only about 1/6 of the light that a human needs to see clearly. This is all thanks to a cool layer of tissue in their eyes called the tapetum lucidum. It acts like a mirror, reflecting light back through the retina and giving them that creepy, glowing eye look when you take a photo of them with a flash. This night vision is crucial for their navigation. Because cats are crepuscular, meaning they are most active at dawn and dusk, they do a lot of their traveling in low light. They use their incredible vision to lock onto large visual landmarks. A specific street lamp, a weirdly shaped tree, or the bright yellow color of your neighbor's hideous garden gnome all become waypoints on their mental map. When they are trying to find their way home, they are connecting the dots between these visual cues. So while you are stumbling around the yard at night, tripping over the garden hose trying to find them, your cat is watching you from a fence, seeing you in perfect high definition, and probably judging your clumsiness. Now, we have to talk about the concept of the mind palace. Yes, just like Sherlock Holmes, your cat has an incredible spatial memory. They don't just wander around aimlessly, they are constantly taking mental notes. When a cat lives in a territory, they create a highly detailed, three-dimensional map in their brain. They know exactly how many jumps it takes to get from the fence to the roof. They know which bushes are safe for sleeping and which ones have prickly thorns. This spatial memory is so intense that if you move a piece of furniture in your living room, your cat will often approach it cautiously, sniff it, and stare at you like you have committed a massive crime against their reality. When an outdoor cat is navigating home, they rely heavily on this mental map. If they are chased into unfamiliar territory, they will carefully backtrack, looking for the very edge of their mapped zone. Once they recognize a single familiar branch or rock, their internal software syncs up, and they know exactly the route to take to get back to their food bowl. It's an intricate web of memories that keeps them anchored to their home. Have you ever heard the insane stories on the news about cats who were lost on family vacations and somehow walked 200 miles to find their way back to their original house months later? This phenomenon is often referred to as psi trailing. For a long time, people thought cats had literal psychic abilities or telepathy. While it is fun to imagine our cats as furry little X-Men, science suggests a more logical, though equally amazing explanation. When a cat embarks on a massive, long-distance journey, they are likely combining all the super senses we just talked about: the magnetic field detection, the wind-carried sense, the acoustic filtering, and pure, stubborn, feline determination. However, it is important to note that these stories are rare exceptions, not the rule. Most cats are deeply tied to their immediate territory. They don't actually want to travel hundreds of miles. If a cat is doing that, they are essentially in survival mode, driven by an overwhelming homing instinct to return to what feels safe. They aren't using magic. They are just incredibly resilient survival machines, pushing their biological tech to the absolute limit. This brings us to a huge distinction that every cat parent needs to know: the difference between an indoor cat and an outdoor cat getting lost. An outdoor cat is like a seasoned taxi driver. They know the streets, the shortcuts, and the bad neighborhoods. If they wander a bit too far, they usually have the skills to reorient themselves. But an exclusively indoor cat, if they slip out the front door, it is a completely different story. An indoor cat is like a person who has never left their small apartment, suddenly being dropped in the middle of Times Square. The sensory overload is immediate and terrifying. The wind, the loud cars, the strange smells, it overwhelms their incredibly sensitive systems. Instead of using their navigation tools to find their way home, their survival instinct screams, "Hide!" This is why lost indoor cats are rarely far from home. They usually find the first dark, tight space, like under a porch or in some bushes, and they freeze. They are so scared that they won't even meow when you call their name. They aren't lost because they don't know where home is. They are lost because they are too terrified to move from their hiding spot. Let's talk about the cat highway. If you let your cat outside, you might think they just aimlessly wander the neighborhood. But the feline world has a very strict infrastructure. Cats in a neighborhood establish shared pathways, almost like a highway system. But because they are solitary and avoid conflict, they use a timeshare system. The big, tough orange tabby from down the street might use the fence line at 9 a.m., while your sweet little calico knows she is only allowed to use that same fence at 2 p.m. They navigate this highway system using scent markers. When finding their way home, a cat will often seek out this established network. It's much safer for them to travel on familiar roads than to bushwhack through unknown territory. However, this system can sometimes lead them astray. If a tough new stray cat moves into the neighborhood and claims a section of the highway, your cat might get chased off their usual route. Getting pushed off the familiar path is one of the main reasons even experienced outdoor cats can temporarily lose their bearings and take a few extra days to find an alternate, safe route back to their humans. Have you ever wondered if the sun plays a role in your cat's daily routine? We all know cats are professional sunbathers. They will find that one single square of sunlight on the living room rug and aggressively nap in it, inching across the floor as the sun moves. But the sun isn't just for keeping their fur warm. It is a critical navigational tool. Cats have a highly developed circadian rhythm, which is an internal biological clock. They are acutely aware of the time of day based on the angle of the sun and the length of the shadows. Outdoor cats use the sun's position as a celestial compass to orient themselves. If they know their house is typically bathed in the late afternoon sun, they can use the sun's trajectory to figure out which general direction they need to head. It is basically feline astronomy. They combine this solar data with their magnetic sensitivity. So, while we need Google Maps and a screaming British lady telling us to turn left in 500 feet, your cat is casually calculating the angle of the sun, reading the magnetic fields, and strolling home in time for their 5 p.m. dinner reservation. Okay, we need to address a somewhat gross but absolutely vital part of cat navigation: urine marking. I know, nobody likes to talk about cat pee, especially if you've ever had to clean it out of a carpet. But in the wild world of feline navigation, urine is the ultimate billboard. When an unneutered male cat, and sometimes females, sprays urine on a tree or a wall, they are leaving a message that can last for weeks. This scent mark is packed with information about the cat's health, status, and claim to the territory. When a cat is navigating, they read these urine marks like street signs. Okay, that tree belongs to Buster. I should avoid that. Oh, this bush is mine. I'm heading in the right direction. If a cat is deeply lost, they will frantically search for these familiar, albeit stinky, signposts. This is also why bringing a new piece of furniture into your house can sometimes trigger your cat to pee on it. They aren't just being jerks. The new item smells foreign and disrupts their safe mental map. They are just trying to make it smell like home, so their navigation system stops throwing error codes. Let's dive into the psychology of why cats leave in the first place. If they have a comfortable home, a warm bed, and a human who caters to their every whim, why on earth do they risk the great outdoors? Usually it comes down to three things: prey, predators, and hormones. If a cat spots a particularly juicy-looking bird or a fast mouse, their predatory drive can completely override their logical brain. They will chase that prey for blocks, completely ignoring their surroundings until they suddenly stop, look around, and realize they have no idea where they are. Secondly, they might be chased by a predator, like a coyote or a loose dog, forcing them to run blindly into unknown territory to survive. And finally, if a cat is not spayed or neutered, their hormonal drive to find a mate will cause them to break all the rules and wander miles away from home. When the adrenaline or the hormones finally wear off, the cat is left stranded in an unmapped zone. That is the exact moment they have to sit down, reboot their sensory systems, and start calculating the long, embarrassing walk back to the human they ran away from. So, what should you actually do if your fluffy genius's navigation system fails and they don't come home? Knowing how they navigate gives us the cheat codes to bring them back. Because we know they rely heavily on scent, the absolute best thing you can do is put their scent outside. Take their dirty litter box, yes, the stinkier the better, and put it on your front porch. To a lost cat, that litter box is like a giant, glowing neon sign that says, "Home is here." You can also put out their favourite unwashed cat bed, or even some of your own dirty laundry. Sweaty gym clothes work wonders because they are packed with your specific scent, which your cat associates with safety and food. Remember how we talked about indoor cats going into silent survival mode? This means walking around the neighbourhood screaming their name during the day won't work. The best time to search is late at night, between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., when the world is quiet. Take a flashlight and look for the reflection of their tapetum lucidum, those glowing eyes hiding under cars or in bushes. They are usually much closer than you think, just waiting for the coast to be clear. Let's explore the human anchor concept. Have you ever noticed that your cat will follow you from room to room, just sitting there staring at you? Sometimes it feels like you have a tiny, furry stalker. But to your cat, you are a crucial part of their environment. You are the provider of resources, safety, and affection. In their mental map of the world, you are the absolute center. When a cat is lost, they aren't just looking for a physical building. They are looking for you. The bond between a cat and their owner is heavily debated by scientists. Some say they just see us as giant, clumsy cats who are really good at opening cans. But behavioural studies show that cats do form deep, secure attachments to their humans, much like dogs and human babies. When they are navigating their way back from a misadventure, the motivation isn't just a full food bowl, though that is definitely top 3. The motivation is returning to their safe anchor. They use their magnetic senses, their hearing, and their nose, all driven by a deep-seated instinct to return to the specific human that makes them feel secure. Yes, your cat actually loves you. Kind of. It is fascinating to think about the sheer amount of data a cat's brain is processing when they are outside. Imagine trying to read a compass, listen to a radio broadcast from 3 miles away, smell the individual ingredients of a pizza being baked down the street, and track the exact angle of the sun, all at the exact same time. That is what your cat is doing when they are sitting on the fence looking mildly bored. Their brain is a supercomputer of environmental data. But this also explains why cats get so easily stressed by changes in their environment. A big storm, construction noise, or even a sudden change in the weather can scramble all their incoming data. When the barometric pressure drops before a thunderstorm, a cat's sensitive inner ear feels it immediately. This can make them feel disoriented and anxious, leading them to hide or act erratically. They aren't trying to be difficult. Their navigation instruments are basically experiencing heavy static. So, if your outdoor cat suddenly refuses to go outside on a particular day, trust their instincts. Their senses are telling them that the map is currently unavailable and it's better to stay on the couch. Let's take a moment to appreciate the sheer arrogance of the feline return. We have established that finding their way home requires a miraculous symphony of biology, memory, and sensory perception. It is a grueling, impressive feat of survival. Yet, how does a cat behave when they finally make it back? Do they act like the conquering heroes they are? Do they show gratitude for your tears and the missing posters you plastered all over the town? Absolutely not. A dog will tackle you with kisses and cry tears of joy. A cat will casually slip through the door, stretch, give you a look that clearly says, "Why is my food bowl only half full?" and then go to sleep on your clean laundry. They are the masters of playing it cool. They will never let you know that they were actually terrified, or that they used their ancient biological GPS to navigate back from the brink of disaster. They prefer to maintain the illusion that they are completely in control of the universe at all times. It is this exact mix of incredible capability and hilarious arrogance that makes us love them so much. They are tiny, fuzzy enigmas. While we marvel at their navigational superpowers, we also have to be responsible human anchors. No matter how good their internal compass is, modern hazards like busy roads, toxins, and wild animals don't care about a cat's magnetic sensors. This is why microchipping your cat is the ultimate safety net. A microchip is an actual physical barcode placed under their skin that vet clinics and shelters can scan. If your cat's biological GPS fails, or if they get scooped up by a well-meaning neighbour who thinks they are a stray, that microchip is their ticket home. Think of it as adding a recovery beacon to their already impressive hardware. Also, keeping their vaccinations up to date and providing a breakaway collar with an ID tag are simple things that greatly enhance their chances of returning safely. We can't always stop their wild instincts from telling them to chase a squirrel over the neighbour's fence, but we can give them the best possible chance to find their way back to our laps. They may be apex predators with superhero navigation, but they still need their clumsy, can-opening humans to look out for them. So, to wrap up the mystery of the feline homing beacon, let's summarise the toolkit. Your cat is operating with iron-infused ear compasses, an incredibly sophisticated pheromone tracking system, sweaty toe bean stamps, radar dish whiskers, night vision goggles, and a supercomputer brain that remembers every single jump and bush in a 3-mile radius. It is a masterclass in evolutionary biology wrapped up in a purring package that sometimes falls off the back of the sofa while licking its own leg. The next time you see your cat staring blankly at the wall, don't assume there is nothing going on in that little head. They are probably just downloading a map update, recalibrating their magnetic sensors, and plotting the most efficient route from the bedroom to the kitchen. They are complex, brilliant, and completely ridiculous animals. Understanding how they interact with the world doesn't just solve the mystery of how they find their way home. It deepens the bond we share with them. It reminds us that sharing our homes with a cat means living with a tiny piece of the wild, perfectly adapted to conquer the world, but choosing to sleep on our laps instead. And there you have it, the absolute truth about how your fluffy little dictator navigates the world. Now you know that when they vanish and reappear, it's not just dumb luck. It's a brilliant combination of magnetic fields, scent mapping, and super senses working in perfect harmony. Despite all their arrogance, the fact that they use these incredible powers just to come back to you proves that, deep down, they really do love us, even if they won't admit it and just want snacks. If this video blew your mind and made you appreciate your cat's weird habits even more, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with another cat parent who needs to know the truth. Now, I want to hear from you. What is the absolute weirdest place you have ever found your cat hiding? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.